It started innocently enough, or so I thought. My wife and I had been married for 7 years, raising 2 kids, and our relationship had its ups and downs, like any marriage. When she brought up a family vacation, I was excited. We hadn't had a proper getaway in years, and I wanted the kids to have memories of sun, laughter, and family bonding. Then she dropped the bomb. "I invited someone along," she said casually over dinner, as if it were no big deal. I looked up from my plate, confused. "Someone?" I asked. Her smile was thin, eyes avoiding mine. "Yes, my ex. You know, just to catch up. He's in town, and I thought it would be fun. Don't worry, it's harmless." Harmless. The word echoed in my mind, bouncing against the walls of disbelief. My ex? Her ex? The one who had broken her heart years ago, who had been the reason she cried herself to sleep before we even met. And now she wanted him to join a family vacation with our children? I tried to stay calm. I told myself to think logically. "You want to bring him on a vacation with us? With the kids?" She nodded. "It's fine, really. You're overreacting. It's just a friendly trip. You'll see. Nothing will happen." But everything in me screamed no. My stomach churned at the thought of sharing a hotel, a beach, a dinner table with someone who had been intimate with my wife. I thought about the kids, the laughter I had imagined, and how that would now be overshadowed by tension, jealousy, and awkwardness. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't. "I'm not going," I said finally, voice steady. "Not with him there." Her expression changed instantly, surprise, followed by indignation. "You're overreacting. It's harmless. You're making a big deal out of nothing." "It's not nothing," I replied. "This is my marriage, my family. I won't be a part of a vacation where my wife's ex is invited. Not harmless, not nothing." She tried to argue, pleaded, even guilt-tripped me. "Think about the kids. It will be a fun experience. You're being unreasonable." I shook my head. "No, this isn't reasonable. This is disrespect, and I refuse." The days that followed were tense. She complained to friends, posted vague statuses about how controlling I was, tried to make me look like the unreasonable husband. But I stayed firm. I blocked myself from the planning group chats, ignored her texts about dates, and focused on the kids. I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me bend. The morning of the vacation, I packed our things for a small local trip for just me and the kids. The contrast was stark. She left with her ex in tow, all smiles and excitement, while I drove away, feeling both sorrow and relief. Sorrow for the family we could have had, relief that I had drawn a line and refused to compromise my dignity. The next week, news filtered back through friends and family. Her ex, it turned out, had been far from just a friend. Photos emerged on social media, subtle touches, shared laughs, lingering looks, everything that confirmed what I had feared. The vacation she had insisted was harmless became a stage for betrayal. I didn't post about it. I didn't need to. Instead, I focused on the kids, building memories that were mine and theirs alone. We went to the local zoo, the park, the little ice cream shop around the corner. Every laugh, every hug, every story we created was a quiet act of defiance, a demonstration that the family I chose to protect could thrive without the chaos she had invited. When she returned, she expected confrontation. She expected tears, anger, and begging. Instead, I greeted her calmly. The kids ran up to her, excited to tell her about their small adventures, their smiles untouched by jealousy or resentment. I said nothing about the vacation, nothing about the ex. My silence was louder than any argument. She tried to engage, but I kept boundaries firm. "I hope you had a nice trip," I said, voice steady. "We had our own week too." She frowned. "You're so cold. Why can't you just let it go?" "I did let it go," I replied. "I let it go from my life, but not from my children's life. That's my responsibility." Weeks passed, and the aftermath continued to unfold. Friends who had once been neutral noticed the difference. They saw my calm strength, my refusal to react with anger or desperation, and they began to question her judgment. Her ex faded into the background, and I quietly reclaimed the narrative of my family. The children flourished, oblivious to the manipulation that had been attempted around them. They felt secure, loved, and respected. And I realized that the best revenge wasn't confrontation, wasn't vindictive posts or arguments. It was thriving in the space she tried to taint, creating memories, stability, and love that no betrayal could undo. Months later, I made a decision that would cement the boundary permanently. I sold the vacation home we had been saving for, the one she had suggested we use with her ex, and invested the money in the kids' education and a home that was fully mine. No shared decisions, no opportunity for her to bring chaos. Just safety, stability, and control restored. She tried, over the next year, to test the limits. Subtle provocations, manipulations, and even threats. I responded calmly, always keeping the focus on the children and their well-being. Her attempts to create jealousy, anger, or doubt were met with silence and action, proof through living that betrayal would never regain power over my family. Eventually, she stopped trying. She realized, perhaps too late, that the person she underestimated, the man who refused to compromise on respect and dignity, was not only intact, but stronger than ever. The ex faded completely from her plans and life, leaving only a trail of embarrassment and regret. I reflected often on that week, the moment I drew the line, and the decisions I made. It wasn't easy. There was sorrow, grief, and anger. But in standing firm, I discovered a truth I hadn't fully realized. Boundaries, dignity, and unwavering love for one's children are more powerful than confrontation or revenge. Now, years later, I look at my children and know that I made the right choice. Their memories are pure, free from betrayal, and filled with joy. And when I see my wife and the choices she made, I no longer feel anger or resentment, only quiet satisfaction that I protected the family that mattered most. She invited her ex. I refused. And in refusing, I saved our children, preserved my dignity, and reclaimed the life that betrayal had threatened to destroy. Sometimes, the strongest statement isn't yelling, arguing, or seeking revenge. It's simply saying, no, and living a better life because of it. And that's exactly what I did.